Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Now in today's episode we're going to be exploring something that's Windows related, Nintendo related, and kinda weird. Now we've taken a look at Nintendo web browsers and Windows XP themes before, but today we're going to explore what happened back when Nintendo decided to partner up with a short-lived startup company to create custom branded web browsers for Windows PCs. Now you might be thinking, gee, this must have been one of those weird things that came out of the dot-com bubble. And that's because this is one of those weird things that came out of the dot-com bubble. It all began back in September of 2000 when it was announced that Nintendo had jointly released a Pokémon-themed web browser with a relatively unknown company called Media Browser. Now these guys were just getting off the ground. They were founded less than a year prior in December of 1999, back when it seemed like everyone was doing anything and everything to make it big on this newfangled World Wide Web thing. And for Media Browser, maybe not surprisingly, they planned to do that through marketing and advertising. The idea was rather simple: create custom-themed web browsers using popular brand names, and then load them up with ads, as the company freely admitted in a Tampa Bay Times article. Yeah, that's right, the browsers had ads built right into them, and this is how the company planned to turn a profit, as they were betting on the wide recognition of the brands that they worked with to garner enough interest from consumers. Now, the browsers themselves were completely free, and all of them are pretty much identical functionality-wise. They just have different skins and visuals to theme them around these various brands. In fact, calling them browsers is being a bit generous, because these are really just reskinned versions of Internet Explorer, meaning that you didn't get any new features or additional functionality, so it's honestly pretty lackluster. However, the association with Nintendo certainly got people interested, as 72,000 people downloaded the Pokemon Gold and Silver browser just during the month that it was launched. But ultimately, this wouldn't do much for Media Browser, because even though they were able to get contracts with a surprising amount of high-profile brands, their plan of profiting hand over fist from ad revenue didn't pan out, as they were unable to gather a large enough user base to where it would even make sense to begin selling ads. And as a result, the company filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy in November of 2001, less than 2 years after being founded. So yeah, that's a little backstory at just how these browsers were created. It still is very, very odd, which does make it very intriguing that Nintendo, with this and with that N64 joystick that I talked about in a video last year, I mean, that's another kind of weird Windows-related thing that Nintendo got involved in, even though they don't, when you think of Nintendo, you don't think of Windows computers. You think of their game consoles and their games, right? But this was definitely like a marketing effort. That was really the purpose of these things, was to get people interested in these games and obviously advertise to you. Media Browser was hoping, like I said, to make a bunch of money from those ads they would put in here. So we've got 5 browsers we're going to explore. We'll start with the Pokemon one, since it was the first one to come out of this partnership. And there it is on the desktop. It just calls itself Pokemon GNS. Doesn't even say it's a browser, but we open it up and it will crash immediately, and it will, well, there's a couple things going on here. It'll come up with the browser registration window. You do have to register the browser to be able to use it. It will not let you get past this screen, which obviously we can't do because this site has long been down for like over 2 decades now. But there is a patch we can apply to the Windows registry to bypass this and make it think that it's registered. So we're going to do that momentarily here. And it looks like I never modified Internet Explorer's proxy settings from back when I made my Warp Stream video to disconnect it from ProtoWeb. And this, by the way, goes to show you how this is basically just a reskin of Internet Explorer, because all those settings carry over here. But yeah, this was going to work out great because I wanted to have this thing connected to ProtoWeb anyway, so that when we get the browser launched, we can check out the links on the sidebar and maybe see what those websites used to look like. But we're going to close out of it here and go into this reg files folder. Now, I did download all this stuff from the Internet Archive. All these browsers have been archived on there, which is great, so I'll have those links down below if you would like to go and explore these for yourself. So we're going to run a Pokemon patch here. We're going to add it to the Windows registry. Okay, never mind, it's not going to work. I believe we have to do this manually. I think that let's just go to the note here. Oh, yeah, I still have the font set from when I made my Christmas video. Let's go into edit here and set this back to something we can actually read. Bump that down to like size 11. Yeah, we have to use the ones without the compatibility layer added on to the end of them here. But yeah, these scripts were just created with a newer version of Windows, so Windows 98 doesn't recognize them here. So what we can do is just manually add them ourselves. So we'll run regedit and we'll go to, what is it? HK Local Machine Software Media Browser. Okay, so Software Media Browser, Pokemon GS. And then this CSLID, we got to just copy this string here and paste it in there. Hit OK. And now when we launch the browser, it should open up just fine. So there it is. Now it looks like ProtoWeb does not have Pokemon.com restored. So it does give us the option just to, you know, choose a year and go to that via the Wayback Machine. So yeah, you've got your menu bar up here. You've got all of your like navigation controls, which is kind of a bizarre layout. And also they get rid of the icons and just put text over them. You can see there's different Pokemon when you mouse over them. So that's kind of cool. But it is like I can just bring up Internet Explorer here and show you, you know, what it normally looks like. You got all these same buttons up here with the addition of this Microtron button, which is a new feature of sorts. We'll come back to that in a moment. On the side here, you've got just a bunch of links to various Pokemon-related stuff. So you've got Gold and Silver. Again, they're trying to sell you the game, so this takes you to where you can get information about the game and where to buy it. Pokemon Stadium, Pokemon Trading Card Game, and Pokemon Snap. And it looks like ProtoWeb does not have any of these sites restored. So let's just go to Pokemon Gold and Silver, and we'll grab that from 2000. And yeah, here it is. So here is what this webpage looked like in the year 2000. And so, you know, it gives you information about the game. You got a couple different Pokemon here at the bottom. And it'll be released on October 16, 2000. So this game, or this browser did come out before the game. So that's, you know, again, tying into that promotional aspect. They're trying just to get the word out about this game, get people excited about it. But yeah, I mean, that is literally the entire thing. Aside from all of this cool looking visual stuff, it is just Internet Explorer under the hood. It's really kind of boring. Now, there is this Microtron thing, and the reason why I was hesitant to call this a feature is because this basically serves more ads to you just in the form of videos. So they would be tailored around whatever browser that you were using. So in this case, it would play the trailer for Pokemon the Movie 2000. And I imagine other things as well, but that is one confirmed thing that we know for sure that it did. So, you know, you'd be able to just view that right from here if you so desired. But yeah, if you go to these menus up here, it's exactly the same options you're going to have. I mean, aside from View, Microtron, and, you know, a couple of other layout changes with just the way that these lists are sorted, it's the same stuff you would see in Internet Explorer. In fact, even the favorites, when you make a new favorite in Internet Explorer, it will carry over here as well, because it just pulls from that same list. So I can add this to favorites, and I go here, and there it is. So yeah, there's also this button up here next to the window controls that you can use to basically change this sidebar into a toolbar if you prefer, you know, seeing more of the web page, because wouldn't that be nice? Then you've got all those options up here, and these you cannot like move them around. You can't even really disable them. Like if you go to view here, there's no option to get rid of them. Under file, the properties is just for the web page. It's not like there's anything customizable about the browser itself. So again, you know, it's kind of disappointing that they didn't really, like, I don't know, make it kind of a separate program. But yeah, so that is the Pokemon one, and I think I'll just get all these other ones installed off camera, and we'll take a look at them too. Alright, so we've got those installed, we've got them patched so we can bypass the registration thing, and these are the 4 other browsers: Mario Tennis, Nintendo Power, Paper Mario, and Zelda Majora's Mask. So we'll start with Mario Tennis. So here it is. It looks like they changed the layout of the buttons to make it a little bit more traditional, but you see you've got kind of that same thing going on. When you roll over, you've got an animation, and that's the same theme with all this stuff here. But yeah, so this time you've got Mario Tennis ring tournaments, Mario Tennis scouting reports, Mario Tennis training videos, and what is Waluigi Tennis? That sounds vaguely familiar, but I don't really remember. Let's just get a snapshot of it here. This kind of looks like a setup for like a browser game or some sort of interactive thing here. And okay, so Waluigi laughs at you, I guess. Oh my gosh, I'm not even clicking. What the? Oh, is it? Oh, it's just when you mouse over him? Oh my gosh, that is... That is very obnoxious. I'm just mousing over the stuff it's making these, like, when you click, does anything happen? No? Okay, we're gonna just get away from that before, like, I annoy everybody watching. This over here will, you know, whatever the, like, name of the browser is will be here at the top left, and it'll take you to the main site. So, yeah, again, we can hit this to change the sidebar into a toolbar, and, yeah, there it is. So that's the Mario Tennis one. The Nintendo Power one is kind of focused on, like, Banjo-Tooie. You see, it's like, I almost thought when I opened this up that it was like a Banjo-Tooie or Banjo-Kazooie themed thing, but it is themed after Nintendo Power, which was Nintendo's magazine subscription from back in the day. And there's a very puzzle piece theme going on. They seem to be pretty heavy on that in the background, but it's just very Banjo-Tooie focused. But you do have Donkey Kong Country. This is a shortcut to NintendoPower.com, or it's MediaBrowser.com redirect. Okay, what is this? Is this like a tracked link or something? Let's see, NintendoPower.com/ yeah, source, browser, Nintendo. Yeah, this is like a tracking ID. I guess they were wanting to track however many people were connecting or, you know, clicking these links through. Yeah, that is something different. That is something that they must have changed in this version, because if we go back to the Mario Tennis one, these are just direct links to... Yeah, that's something that I didn't even notice until now. So they were actually making improvements. I think the version number does change. Like, yeah, now we're on version 1.5. We were initially on 1.0 in the Pokemon Gold and Silver one here. Let's just check that out. So there it is, Pokemon or browser version 1.0. And this one, let's see, is version 3.4, so we made quite the jump, though this one, I assume, came after, like, Paper Mario or Zelda Majora's Mask. Next up is Paper Mario. So this one, it looks like the default state, this is interesting, is it's got the toolbar instead of the sidebar. This is the first time that I've opened this one, so it's configured that way, I guess, by default. Now this one, let's see the version number. So the other one was 3.4. This is also 3.4, so I imagine all these links are going to be tracked, but this time you've got links for Paper Mario, Nintendo, Zelda Majora's Mask, which is fitting because that's the next browser we're going to take a look at, and Mario Tennis, which is fitting because we also just took a look at that one. So yeah, you got a bunch of stars up here as the icons. And honestly, like, one thing I just noticed, which kinda doesn't look super great, is when you change from the sidebar to the toolbar, I mean, it just covers all this stuff over here. Like, you can see this character got completely covered. I mean, oh, it's Bowser. Yeah, why didn't you even... I couldn't even tell from him being covered up. I feel like this could have been done better. That's just a minor, like, nitpick, just from me. But yeah, so that's the Paper Mario one. Zelda Majora's Mask. Let's see if this one is... also version 3.4. Okay, so all of these are... So it did just go from 1.5 to 3.4. I mean, I'm sure there were other browsers, like maybe some of the ones they did with NASCAR or Florida State University or, you know, whatever other brand. We had some versions in between 1.5 and 3.4. But yeah, this one, so you've got all those tracked links again. So you've got Zelda Majora's Mask, Zelda Ocarina of Time, Nintendo, and Pokemon. Okay, they brought back icons. Look at that, like just regular icons. And they have the characters show up as you mouse over them. That's the way to do it, I think. This is a lot better than having some random Nintendo character represent the back or the forward or the home button. Now, you might have noticed down here on all of these browsers, there's like this separate page that's loaded. This, I believe, is where the ads would go. And that's why, I don't know if you've noticed, but every so often you'll hear the start navigation sound effect, and that, you know, normally happens whenever you click back, like see there it is, or when you go to a new page or when you refresh a page. So it's constantly refreshing this page here, and that's because it's, you know, if there were ads showing up there, it's going to be pulling new ads constantly. This points to a Shockwave Flash object. I'll just copy the URL here, and we'll go to just regular Internet Explorer, and we'll close out of it so we stop hearing that sound effect every like 5 seconds. We're going to get rid of all of the excess junk in the link. So if we go to this, ProtoWeb is definitely not going to have it restored, but let's see if there is a snapshot from 2000. It does not look like there is. Okay, let's try maybe 2001. It's trying. Nope. So that is where the ads would go. But yes, those are 5 of the Nintendo/media browser joint web browser things that were released back in the early 2000s. But they were not the only Nintendo branded web browsers that were ever released. And this is where we get into some of the interesting turn of events that occurred surrounding this whole browser thing. So in this extra folder here, I've got 3 more Nintendo branded web browsers. We've got one for Metroid Prime, Pokemon Colosseum, and Pokemon Sapphire and Ruby. The interesting thing is these 3 games were released after Media Browser went bankrupt. And if we go into the install wizard here, you'll see there is a different name here in the license agreement. Braun Communication Incorporated. Now, I was able to find company records for this company. They were based in the Tampa, Florida area, just like Media Browser. So my guess is, and there's no concrete evidence of this whatsoever, but I'm assuming that this company, Braun Communication, bought up some of Media Browser's assets, which may have included, I mean, it definitely included the tools to make these Internet Explorer skins, because as you're going to see here, this browser, well, once we get past the, which we have to do that same registration patch, but once we get it launched, you'll see that it looks, you know, exactly the same layout and everything as these other ones. In fact, the version number is exactly the same. But they may have also acquired the contract with Nintendo to continue making these. So we're going to install, this is the Pokemon Colosseum one. So that one's done, and we'll do Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire. Actually, no, we can't do Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, because if you weren't convinced that these browsers are exactly the same as the other ones, it turns out if you have the Pokemon Gold and Silver one installed, you can't install this one. In fact, let me just try to see what happens. I read on the archive page that it just won't run. Is that true? Actually, well, we were able to install it, but we'll see when I apply the registry patch if that's actually true. Once again, these are newer registry scripts, so we have to just manually add them to the Windows registry. But now, instead of going into Media Browser under HK Local Machine Software, we have to go to HK Local Machine Software Braun. And now, let's see if we can launch yeah, we can launch it. So there it is, and can we open up the... Oh, no, okay, so the Pokemon Gold and Silver browser gets corrupted, so that's, okay, that's what that is referring to. But yeah, so here is the Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire one, or more so just PokemonGames.com. So there's that. They got rid of the tracking stuff, apparently. You see, these are just direct links now. And they also got rid of the ads. Look at that. Yeah, there's no separate, like, browser instance or, like, iframe or whatever going on down there. So yeah, that's definitely a nice improvement, I guess. But the version number is, it just says about Braun browser version 3.4, which is the same version number as, you know, these, not the Mario Tennis one and the Pokemon one, but these 3 here. We go to the Metroid Prime one. Here's the design of that. This one I think is actually my favorite. I really love the kind of holographic Metroid-y design language that we got going on. Again, version 3.4. You've got Nintendo, GameCube, Metroid Prime, Metroid Fusion, and is that something else down there that we can't really get to? No, that is a part of the... That's a part of the background graphic. That is not a link, because it doesn't show up here in the toolbar when we swap it over to that mode. And then last but not least, we've got the Pokemon Colosseum one. So here's that. We've got 5 links over here: Pokemon Games, Pokemon Trading Card Game, Pokemon.com, GameCube, and Nintendo, and once again, version 3.4. But yeah, there you have it. That is a brief demonstration of the quite bizarre Nintendo web browsers that were released for Windows-based systems back in the early 2000s. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up, get subscribed, all that good stuff. And if you really enjoyed this one and want to get early access to my future episodes, I do have a Patreon that you can check out, or you could become a channel member by clicking that join button down below. But either way, I just want to thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.